Kingdom Hearts, or Kingdom Hearts as it's written. This is a unique episode because it technically contains no game review at all, which was definitely intentional. It was meant to be a parody of a game review that really lacks any game review, which is something that Boars is sort of known for doing, always cutting away from his review to focus on his plot arc, and this is really what I was trying to focus on. And therefore, it really is just a long series of jabs at Boars' story arc that he was running at the time, which he was like saving the world by reviewing games or something. It's exactly the sort of thing that I was complaining about, where it's like, you're not that important. You're an internet reviewer. Stop doing that. Which, by the way, that story arc took him 4 fucking years to finish. The fucking 12-year-olds that got into that story arc when they were just finishing elementary school would be 16 and learning to drive by the time he finished. Seriously. So this opening segment I really like, and it was the most elaborate Irat Gamer segment so far, probably ever. Last time marked the first time I got someone to help me film. This time marks the first time anyone else besides me has had an active role in an episode. You really could tell that I was trying really hard to be creative and original. Possibly I should have put that energy into something a little more relevant than Irate Gamer parodies, but you know, the people who follow this channel, I feel like they did appreciate the new stuff I was trying to pull off in these videos. This is, of course, a direct parody of something Chris Boars said, not as the Irat Gamer, just as himself, so I'm not sure how many people were actually aware of it.
Even the interaction with the fans that I have with a daily, weekly basis is just so cool. It's funny because a couple times I've actually been on a first date with a girl, and somebody's come up and you know, recognized me, and that's always cool because then the girl's like, well, what is that all about? And it makes me look good, so thanks for that, guys. But
so this was my interpretation of how I thought something like that would have actually gone down. And yeah, I like it. There's a real palpable awkwardness, which surprises me because, you know, the computer voice is so unemotional. The fact that you can actually feel sort of this tension with nothing but the computer voice, I think is actually pretty cool. And of course the punchline that the fan actually fucking hates him, and so does the girl. That still cracks me up. Looking back on this footage, I'm actually extremely grateful to my 2 friends who helped me film it. Same with the friend that helped me film that part of the Halo 5 episode. I'm more grateful now than I even was at the time, because I can see better now how ludicrous these videos are if you aren't in the loop. I mean, it's a video for like a subculture of a subculture of a subculture. And for these people who, you know, weren't in that subculture to actually go along with all my weird ideas while I'm telling them, by the way, don't film anyone's face, they were very cool, and I owe a lot of the success of this sequence to them. The McDonald's we shot at was also cool. We got permission from them to shoot. They said as long as we weren't making anything negative about McDonald's, we were more than welcome to film, which I feel like a lot of places wouldn't be so gracious to allow. I wanted to shoot at McDonald's because it just seemed like, you know, the worst first or second date location that there is. So maybe it is negative against McDonald's, I don't know. There was an old couple there watching us as we were filming, and they seemed to really admire what we were doing, which was lovely. It doesn't feel like the sort of wholesome thing that an old couple should be appreciating. But I thought that was pretty nice. And to this day, I wonder what they were thinking when they saw us start acting without words or facial expressions. It must have looked quite strange. Again, in retrospect, this all seems so ludicrous, but everyone just went along with it, which is the most amazing part of all. You can even see all of our cars in the background of these shots. It was really a very, like, nice, humble production for a, you know, really dumb Irate Gamer parody. I see I even directly quoted Boar's statement in the video.
The other day, I was on a date with a girl, and somebody's come up and, you know, recognized me, and it makes me look good, so thanks for that, guys.
So perhaps the joke does stand on its own, but the computer voice really doesn't discuss it with the same slightly nervous, excited energy that Boars had when he was talking about it. Received interactive entertainment is of course Gut Game, whose logo I faithfully recreated. Hope people got that. This playing Mario Kart, this was based on a real video I saw. I actually can't seem to find it anymore, but Boars is well known for covering E3, and there was this video on his channel which was something like exclusive E3 footage of Mario Kart or something. There was no audio for some reason. It was pretty poorly shot, and I just remember that the video was purple. Like, the whole thing had this sickly purple tint to it, and I thought, this is pretty goddamn worthless E3 footage, even for boars, so I parodied it here. In many ways, that might have been my downfall, actually. I really scoured Boars' channel for material when I was writing these things, and I just sort of trusted that my audience would have done the same and would therefore recognize what I was doing, and I mean, who the hell would ever do that? Wow, a Haunted Investigators reference. I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't keep the Hopeless Investigators thing going. I, of course, say the cruel past thankfully missing from the cover because Jennifer, Chris's co-star and ex-girlfriend, is missing. I realized digging into someone's personal life isn't really cool. It wasn't that bad here, but still, this probably wasn't necessary. And again, I'm not even sure if people got it. I feel like it started to delve a little too deeply into almost imitating Bores rather than simply satirizing him. So pretty abruptly, this turns into a Halloween special. The reason for that is because when I was writing, I was sort of setting up in the direction of another contest. It seemed reasonable that the Irat Gamer would be lazy enough to do that, but then I thought, we've already done a group parody of that. It's not going to be funny the second time. It's not going to be anything the second time. So instead, the Irat Gamer abruptly has a better idea, quote unquote, which is apparently to start a new story arc and go with that, which doesn't actually seem like something a lazy person would do. It's interesting seeing these decisions 3 years later because I really have forgotten a lot of my thought processes since. There are a lot of pretty good jokes if you did sit through Bores' story arc, but I think the problem is you really did have to. I think a lot of this doesn't hold up on its own, unfortunately. There's also a lot of callbacks to earlier episodes, which means I guess you'd have to have seen those. I ended up finding all these ways to tie the peasant character from Racing Aces in, and like the evil Shadow Overlord character from the Castlevania episode. So I just went with that. I threw it all in. It doesn't really make sense if you think about it, and he's really just as contrived as the antagonist I was criticizing this whole time. But at the time, I just thought it would be cool to do all these callbacks and all these references, and it's kind of cool. But I guess it's one for the fans. I think it is funny, but I don't think it's great as a standalone episode. Stealing the TV, I thought was sort of an appropriate way to end this arc. If you think of these as a trilogy like I do, where it's Racing Aces, Halo 5, and Kingdom Hearts, that arc where it starts with the peasant and ends with the peasant, it kind of works. But following this episode, I really didn't have any ideas at all. And my life, in fact, underwent many changes over the next year, which led to yet another year-long absence until the next episode, which ended up being the final one ever. You ready?